So I've spent my entire adult life studying drugs and sex. Those are my hyperfixations. And I am so proud to say that my buddy Dee Goldpaugh wrote one of the most important books on both of those fields that I've ever seen in my lifetime of reading about these subjects. Because this book, Embracing Pleasure, it isn't just for therapists who are dealing with people who have undergone extreme sexual trauma, though it is actually an incredibly conversation opening book for those therapists. It's also for people who have been victims of abuse and to help them work through how these psychedelics might help you and what to look for in someone who might help you work through this, because you shouldn't be doing it on your own. But it's also worth reading for anyone who's interested in sex or drugs, because for me, I learned a lot about pleasure. And it's easy for me to forget the importance of the power of pleasure. And they write here after complaining about all the empire building has turned my stomach a little bit about the psychedelic world in general. Dee writes, I believe the most healing attribute of psychedelic medicines is being neglected, which is the power of psychedelics to help us connect with deep feelings of pleasure and bliss, connect to ourselves and our bodies, support us in living joyfully, connect to the divine, and embrace love. And if that sounds a little hippy-dippy to you, know that this is coming from a very grounded perspective of someone who has been in the trenches helping people with extreme abuse. Dee is both a lover of plant medicine, but also a very gifted therapist who knows how to help people going through very extreme things. And so there's a lot of empathy in this book, not only for the abused, but also for the abusers and what must have happened to them. They give us a beautiful conceptual framework they call psychedelic sexuality, which would include celebrating sexuality and pleasure as a birthright for all of us. Acceptance and respect for all bodies and all the internal expressions and external expressions of racism, ageism, ableism, and fat phobia. And they deal magnificently with all these concepts throughout the books. Acceptance of our own sexual identity and the sexual identities of others, acceptance of our own gender fluidity and the gender diversity in others, and including spirituality or equality of sacredness in our sexual self-perception, connections, and expression, whatever that means for the individual. And this can lead to beautiful things. And it won't surprise you that the science on this is quite limited, but they know the science, and your gut would tell you the same thing. The science points to more pleasure being linked to increased openness and cognitive flexibility, and decreased neuroticism about our sexuality and the sexuality of others, increased empathy and interpersonal connection in relationships, and increased mindfulness and presence with pleasure, and finally connecting equality of sacredness to our sexuality. And then one of the things I love about them and their angle in this book is they stress the harm reduction around psychedelics, being not seeing psychedelics as a magic bullet. They are not. They do not claim they are. They get very into the thorny, ethical, in-the-dirt problems that happen, such as recovered memories and power dynamics with therapists and the intersectionality of all of the things that might be coming into the room. And so this is really, it's an amazing shout of a book saying that psychedelics are a tool that can be very helpful, but they are a tool that need to be treated with respect. And it is a first take done by anyone that I'm aware of to really try to deal with these ethical problems in healing extreme sexual abuse using psychedelics. And so I'm honored to have a little shout out in this book for helping with a history section. And because it's really such a fantastic book. And it's not because it's my old buddy Dee. I had 2 plane rides where all I did was just read this book. I pounded through it because it was so amazing. And as someone who has spent a lot of time reading psychedelic books, I would say Embrace Pleasure is one of the most important things that you're going to read in the field.